Gina Carano's conversation with Ben Shapiro on Ben Shapiro's Sunday Special, there's a few things that I'd like to note. One. That was the episode number. If anything, that's awesome. That's a wonderful... Gina Carano has, for anybody who doesn't know, Gina Carano has had a backlash, a support, a lot of hype. You could probably even say the shot heard around the world when it comes to the entertainment sphere in the elite Hollywood arena. Is that Gina Carano was unjustly fired for being political or being abhorrent for whatever posts that she has been on Instagram and Twitter. They've been trying to push her out. Lucasfilm trying to push her out for months. They've been removing her from posters. They've been trying to scoot her away and focusing on other characters of the show. And then the moment that she uploaded something that got a lot of backlash, boom, that was the time that they dropped her. And it wasn't that the fact that they dropped her, it's the double standard of her firing. It's that you were conservative, you were posting conservative-leaning things, and I will say that they weren't conservative-leaning things, I apologize. It's that the things that she was posting was making fun of the people that were bullying other people. When she posted on Twitter and changed her posted her pronouns, it's not that she was making fun of the transgender community, it's that she was making fun of people who had their own identification. And that's like, and she put her pronouns as beep boop bop or whatever that was. Same thing with Instagram. She was posting something about if you make a person inhuman, if you deperson somebody and you make them somebody that doesn't deserve rights by ridiculing them and calling them an evil person and they don't deserve a place in society, it's one of the reasons. She didn't say it was left or right. She didn't say liberal or conservative. She didn't say authoritarian or libertarian. She just posted something about how World War II, why the Nazis were able to, as the government, able to come and swoop up a lot of Jewish people because the other people said Jewish people are not worthy of rights. They're not. You're not good. You're bad. We get to beat you up in the streets. So that's why the government was allowed to do that. She's speaking truth to power. Lo and behold, speaking truth to power is now a conservative thing. Anybody who is on the modern day left who says that they are fighting against the system, the establishment, let's go through entertainment. What conservative establishment is the predominant leader in entertainment? You can't find one. They're all left-leaning. Education? I think it was like 80 to 90% of all college professors were left-leaning. Politics? The majority is held by the left. There's nothing that is owned by the quote-unquote right, the modern-day right. The labels of liberal and conservative really have been, or the left and the right have been skewed. They've been, the lines have been blurred. So right now, regardless of what your stance on taxation or abortion, truth apparently right now is a conservative thing. So classic liberals used to deal with truth, and then we would disagree on how we would solve them. But if you talk about truth, you are now by default on the right, regardless of you being a conservative or a libertarian or an independent. You are just by default not on the left, so you have to be on the right. The current thing that happened with Gina Carano is that her firing was a double standard as everybody else who has been politically active, including Pedro Pascal, and in the conversation with Gina Carano has shared with Ben Shapiro that Gina is a good friend with Pedro, even today, is that they both, Pedro and Gina, had an agreement that they found themselves on the different sides of the aisle politically, and they were deciding, like, you know what, we're people, we're humans, and that's what their relationship was built on, and it still is. I have my issues with Pedro Pascal saying, hey, all MAGA people are as much of a losers as Nazis, as white supremacists. That's a big issue for me. Pedro Pascal, if I was to see him in person, I wouldn't want to get to know him, but I don't want him to be harmed. He's a person, he's a human, but I just don't want to give him the time of day. But it doesn't mean that I want him to be harmed. I think him as an actor is pretty good. He's a pretty good, solid actor, and I think that he can continue on with that progression. And I don't wish ill of him. Gina Carano, I never knew her material. Before she became famous, before she started getting into this thing, I knew her when she was in The Mandalorian. I knew that she had an MMA background. Only recently, only like the past 5 months, that she started getting a lot of backlash on Twitter, and then there's a lot of information coming about her. Came on my radar, kind of interesting. With Gina Carano right now, she is the shot that heard around the world in the entertainment sphere. She doesn't share anything in the conversation specifically with, she doesn't name any names. It's just, you can tell with her voice. You can tell with the conversation that is being had right here. Whenever she is answering a question, or whenever she's trying to talk to Ben, you can tell in her tone, in her voice. You can hear her heart, that she is a sweetheart. She doesn't want to be vitriol. She doesn't have any hate for anybody. She has a love and compassion that I actually envy. I wish I could be, or have people around me that were as sweet and adorable as her personality is. Truly, it's amazing. It's awe-inspiring. It actually is I'm a little bit starstruck with that characteristic, the personality and trait that she has. It's amazing. It makes me feel vulnerable. I gotta admit, it makes me feel a little weak. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting all these goosebumps. I feel good addressing that one fact, because there's not really one part in this entire conversation where she's not having this level of sincerity that transmits through her tone. Having that length of a conversation with somebody, and you can hear how stressed, how unfortunate they feel, how saddened they are by the situation, coming through the entire conversation. And I just posted it at the 1454 just because I thought this would be a really cool wallpaper. Like, this would be a good visual. And Ben Shapiro is doing what Ben Shapiro does. He's not the point. He did a really good thing. He capitalized on the opportunity. He did two good things. One, he gave her a call and saying, like, okay, we understand. I'm sorry this happened to you. A level of comfort, because Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, the two co-founders of the Daily Wire, who have transformed the Daily Wire from a conservative commentary company, which it still has it. It's just they want to primarily now focus on conservative media, trying to produce media specifically for conservatives, but it's not just for conservatives. It's like the quote-unquote liberal establishment, and liberal establishment, it really is a vague buzz term. Liberal doesn't mean liberal nowadays. The people who are in the current establishment media, the people who are in entertainment, they are the establishment. They are the elites. A great example would be Sarah Silverman. I think if that's the actress, not the actress, the comedian I'm thinking about. Sarah Silverman has grown her name brand over the last few decades. I think it's 2 decades specifically. And she was a very offensive person. She would say everything that was raunchy, everything that was degrading, everything that you weren't supposed to say, and she pushed the boundaries. It was funny. Like, for me, sometimes it offended me, and I didn't like her at times. Cool, and then I moved on. That's what her shtick was. That's, as a comedian, you speak truth to power. You say the things that are uncomfortable, that people don't want to say, but need somebody to say it. Need somebody that we don't take too honestly or too earnestly or take too seriously. To have somebody who does that, good. There weren't things that actually needed, in hindsight, needed to have been said in the past. Sarah Silverman, over the last 3 or 5 years, actually ever since that Donald Trump got into office, it's the radicalism of trying to protect your own from the elites at the very top, who already have an established power, an established income, an established wealth, and everybody behind them. They close off the door, they build a wall, close off the door, lock the gates for anybody else who comes through. What do I mean? Sarah Silverman has said multiple times where she does not want people to make fun of certain things. No, you're barred from saying that. That's an offensive thing to say. You're not supposed to say that. I said something in the past. I need to apologize for it. Anybody who's in a position of power who was apologizing for something that they did in the past, it's absolutely empty to me. Absolutely empty. I don't give a damn about that. If someone does something horrid, something in the past, let's just say that Sarah Silverman was actually guilty of saying something abhorrent that she shouldn't have said. The thing is, how much cred, how much money, how many gigs, how many connections, how much her name brand grew because of quote-unquote abhorrent behavior. You saying you're sorry after you gain your wealth, your success, your lavish luxury, that your ability to do whatever you want with having a household name brand? Oh, I did something in the past, I'm sorry. Well, if you're really sorry, you would do something about it. That's just how I feel right now. I might change depending on the amount of money and the amount of income that I increase in my life. I have to at least admit that. If my life changed, I might change my tempo. I might change my perspective. I am not at that grade. I am not at that level. I am not at that class. I am not at the availability of doing whatever it is that I want with whomever I want. Because it's because of me. I actually do have to admit that the majority of that actually is an issue of me, that I'm not doing that. So it's the people at the very top are the gatekeepers, that they did things that they are now saying we can't do, but they have the success and availability, they have the resources and connections, they have the life, the luxury, the wealth, and the income. They have all these things, the power that they can now control over us, and saying that how they got their success. We cannot do it. Well, why? Somebody gains a large amount of money. Warren Buffett, for an example. Warren Buffett is an investor, top investor. I think he's in the top. He's the 12th. He's definitely in the top 25. I think he's not the top 10 anymore, but he's definitely not in the top 100. Warren Buffett, as an investor, has made bukus of billions of dollars. That's awesome. Good for him. I have no ill will about him. But the moment that he starts having policies and like, oh yeah, we need to have these we need to have certain policies in place that are contrary to the amount of money that he earned through his entire lifetime. And he promoted certain people, Bernie Sanders, for example, who is a sellout, who has sold out to the Democratic Party twice. Once during the Democratic, I think it was the 2018 election, and then again in the 2020 when he was promoting Joe Biden. 2018, I think. Wait, what? 2018 or 2016? No, it was 2016 when he was trying to combat Hillary Clinton to be in the 2016 running, and then again in 2018 when he was still trying to fight. And once he got $1 million, and I think it was maybe a third time where he got $1.1 million because of his book sales, and he no longer talked about the millionaires. He only started talking about the billionaires, because as a millionaire himself, he changed his tune. Is that people at the very top who become established say that people at the bottom, you can't do the thing that I did to get to where I am. But I'm not going to change what I have. I'm just saying you can't do this thing because it's immoral. But I know that I did something immoral in the past, and I'm going to apologize. I've been resolved. But I'm going to keep all my money. I'm going to keep my established level. I'm going to stay where I'm at. But you can't get to my level doing the method that I did. You have to find a different way. But it's the way that I tell you have to be. Gina Carano is the shot heard around the world, and I will and in the entertainment sphere. I will probably continue to say that. I would love for it to gain traction and go viral, regardless of whether or not I'm attributed to saying it. The shot heard around the world within the entertainment sphere. That Gina Carano is a prime example of someone who was fired for being not on the left, regardless of her being a conservative. Ben Shapiro has publicly stated in this at the very beginning of this video that she is a conservative. Now, she might be a quote-unquote conservative by default of not being on the left. She might just be a classic liberal. She said she had some certain stances in one article that I read that she disagrees with Ben Shapiro on abortion and taxes or something. I don't remember what that second policy was, or second philosophy, principle, whatever it was. But it was definitely with abortion. And you could be a conservative, and one way or the other, but scratch that last part. You being a conservative nowadays doesn't really hold a lot of weight, because if I disagree with a woman, if I say a woman is a woman and a man is a man, you as a man identifying as a woman and taking hormones and replacing your and having breast surgery and wanting to cut off your genitals, that doesn't make you a woman. But that doesn't make you a woman. But how I communicate with you, how I treat you, how I refer to you as the gender or pronoun that you refer to as, that is a separate issue. That is a separate thing. Blair White is a full woman to me. 1, she acts like it. 2, she looks the part. 3, she's actually pretty badass. So I have a lot of respect for her as a person, and that also helps as well. There's multiple factors to it. So if I say like that is a man, you can't tell me that you're a man. Like there was a doctor, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, that there was a video that I posted that I found on someone else's on Friday Night Tights, where there was a quote unquote transgender, or however they identified as, and they had a mustache. A woman having a mustache is not a woman who has fuzz on their face. What you're doing is you are trying to push. You're saying we need to change what a woman is. So a woman is not biological, nor does a woman look feminine. A woman is to look masculine. A woman is to look more hairy. A woman is to look this way. Okay. If we're trying to push the boundaries of what a woman and what a man is, I just want to make certain I want you to declare to me what a woman is. And I want to know, because a man is not what a woman is. I want you to identify what a woman is. And if it's whatever it is that a woman wants to decide for herself, that if whatever a woman is, fine. I identify as a woman, and I can clearly tell you about you not identifying as women, me, us, as a certain way. I get to identify whatever women are, because I'm now a woman. And if any and all men and women are incredibly inseparable, that's when we have big issues, because we know that men and women have staunch degrees in the extremes. On average, a woman can be incredibly more competent than a man. Yes, there is still a difference between a man and a woman. Me stating all of what I just said within the last 5-7 minutes, by default, I can't be part of the left. A thing that I've been thinking about for the past year or 2, maybe 3, is that I can't be part of the left. I can't be part of the left anymore. Gina Carano can't be part of the left anymore. It's not that Gina Carano and I are conservative. I would consider myself to be conservative, but doesn't mean that I actually live up to those principles and philosophies, which goes into Christianity. If so, there is a hypocritical Christian, doesn't mean that Christianity is wrong, but that also does mean about, well, what about the fruits of the actions? You will know their name or something. It's like, well, okay, maybe it's hypocritical, maybe there's something flawed with Christianity. Hey, you know what? I'm actually a little bit more open to that. But that gets into a different topic entirely, is that Gina Carano is not part of the left. It was not part of the leftist liberal establishment. Again, modern day liberalism has nothing to do with classic liberalism, where you speak the truth. Because if I said everything that I said about men and women being fundamentally different, what does that have anything to do with whether or not you are a competent person, whether or not you're a good person, whether or not you're doing great things? Whether or not you are appropriately handling the situation in the best way possible. What does that have anything to do with family and friends and society, unless you want to blur those things together because you don't like the idea that men and women are different? Well, they're fundamentally different. I mean, they're fundamentally the same, so therefore, if you start to get speaking about the difference, it's like, no. They are fundamentally different. Men and women are different. That has nothing to do with whether or not a woman has a right or men have a right to one thing or another. There's certain functions that exist within this reality that we live in, and by default, if you start speaking about these things, as Gina Carano did in her own sphere, speaking out against the Twitter mob and Twitterazzi, against the people, speaking truth to power, regardless of whatever her political leanings were, she was fired based off her political affiliation. A double standard in her firing is the reason the majority of people have an issue with her firing. There's plenty of people who hate her just because she's a woman, a strong woman, a feminist, a classic feminist. She looks very fetching, I have to admit. She is a rather curvy, bulkier type of lady. Those legs look pretty good. Let me tell you something. She can beat up somebody and has beaten up people before. She even says that in her childhood she was beating up people. She has gotten to multiple fights in her childhood, or at least in her upbringing, because what gets her belly fired up, is when a bully happens. When a bully starts doing something, when someone is bullied, that's what really sets her off. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're one way or the other politically or ideologically. It's one thing that she says throughout this entire thing, and she even conveys that, I'm very inclusive, or I'm very diverse. Like, I love diversity. And I would attribute that, when you listen to her tonality when she's saying that, love. Love is the ultimate end. Love does not mean I have an attraction to you and I want to have sex. It's one big issue when I hear, again, I'm going to bring up Christianity. One big issue that I have within Christianity and people who are Christians is that they say that love is the ultimate end. Okay, define me love. Okay, because, again, love and sex are fundamentally different. They're different activities. They are fundamentally not the same. And just because you might have a sexual attraction, it doesn't mean it's a morally good thing. I think you have that right to do what you will with your own body, with your own autonomy as an individual of a certain age, to do with another person as you see fit. And anybody who speaks against that, I would say that they are silly, that they're maybe having a moral dilemma. But you know what? I could be wrong. But by default, that makes me sound anti-gay. It's not anti-gay. I'm just being very specific about what's good and what's bad. You have the right to smoke cigarettes. You really do. You have the right to put something up somebody else's butt. You really do. You have that right. And I encourage you to practice whatever you see fit. Do not bring me into it. Quite literally. Because guess what? I indulge in my own sinful behavior. It doesn't make me correct, or that maybe that level of hypocrisy, does it debunk the entire thing? Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about this entire thing. But guess what? If I speak out and I need the opportunity to speak to another human being, to think out loud, I have an idea in my head, I feel it to be correct, and when I say it, I get punished. I get fired for having an idea that I think that is correct. This is one of the biggest issues with Gina Carano's firing. She was fired because of her political opinion. She was fired for saying something that may be incredibly controversial. She might be fired because of something. And for example, I have to admit, I would probably be in favor of, let me explain this entire position, and then judgment. I am in favor of her being fired if it was equally applied to all people. If she was political and got the axe, and someone else was political on the other side of the aisle and they got the axe, you know what? That's the policy of the company. Don't get political. We're here to produce media. That's what we're doing. If she was very political, like in the current MMA CEO, I don't know what that guy's name is, he says that he does not muffle, he doesn't silence any of his fighters. That's one big key for him. He is 100% freedom of speech absolutist. He doesn't give a damn about what they have to say, but he has everything about how they act within the ring and when they're at their meetings and such. That having a double standard like that is a big issue when it comes to application over other people. I might have a double standard with my philosophy. Call it out. If I have a double standard in my thinking, call it out. I don't think that I'm wrong. I think there's some places that I might have some flaws. I think there's some positions in which I didn't consider one factor, and that might change my approach, and it might change how I consider and take things into consider. I can be wrong. And the people at the very top in the political, and not the political power, the people at the very top of the entertainment sphere right now in the quote-unquote liberal, left-leaning elitists, they silence quote-unquote conservatives because you are not towing the line. You don't believe this way, by default, you're on the right, we have to get rid of you. And us getting rid of you is a good thing, because how dare you be against what we think is good? We know that we are good. You disagreeing with us means that you be bad. You're morally abhorrent. You're an other. Gina Carano is a great example of a Henry Cavill. I know I'm probably shifting tunes, but I want to mention this because I think it's kind of attributable or comparable, similar, whatever the word is. Henry Cavill spoke up when he was going through his Netflix The Witcher series, and he was doing an interview. And the interviewer asked him a question about the quote-unquote toxic fandom online. Now, the interviewer may have a good reason for why he labeled them a certain way, depending on which form, which media or which medium he went to go and look at these people who are saying some maybe nasty things about Henry Cavill and his positions or other actors and actresses, and maybe the intellectual property as a whole. Henry Cavill, in that interview, responded in a very humble way, and it was very endearing. It made me care about Henry Cavill as a person, because he didn't say, well, I don't think that they're actually toxic fans. I think they're just very passionate, that they care about what they about what it is that they care about. That was awesome to me. Henry Cavill is an actor I want to see succeed. I will criticize the role he is in. I will criticize the type of acting he does. I will criticize maybe the direction of the entire property that he is associated to. Season 1 of The Witcher. I did an entire full analysis. I've made multiple videos of each and every episode. And it's kind of a cruddy... No, let me rephrase my word. Let me rephrase that because that was wrong. There is a lot to improve of the first season of The Witcher. One of the reasons why The Witcher, the first season, is phenomenal is because it seemed as though they respected a lot of the characters, a lot of the story. They held together appropriately. When the relationships between characters, I felt that it was real. A lot of the plot from most of the episodes, I had a lot of issues with the second episode of the first season. The second episode is actually one of my favorite episodes, despite having the majority of the flaws that I found in all the other episodes in all the other seasons. The second episode is the introduction to Yennefer. Yennefer is my favorite character. I relate with her. The dark and dreadedness of holding in things and you're not able to escape. You have this internalization that nobody else is able to understand because you are not given that opportunity to communicate. And then you're wrapping yourself all around in the dark sphere within inside of your mind and your heart that the only release is cutting yourself. The only release is that you get so wrapped up around yourself. Yennefer is my favorite character. Anytime that there's the Yennefer type of character in almost any single show or movie, I am so on board. I might even have this might sound a little weird, but I have to be a little bit honest here. I might have an arousal of the type of character because I feel like I can change you, that I can help you, that it's like if there's a vampire who literally just ate somebody, who literally, like a cannibalistic vampire who just ate somebody up and threw their body away, I'd be kind of like, I'm kind of aroused by this. It's like, ooh, something dark, something creepy. But if it actually happened to the real world, I'd probably be the first person to run away. So, there's in the head, the theory of something versus the application of it. So I just have to at least admit that. There's ooh, you're a 12-foot strong woman. You're an Amazonian who can crush my pelvis if we ever to do the snoo. Ooh. But if that actually really happened, I'd probably be the first person running away like, holy crap, no, I want life. Let me live. She's gonna kill me. She'd probably catch up with me after 5 steps after I was running for 5 minutes. Who knows? Anyways, Henry Cavill, as being an example to Gina Carano, is that Henry Cavill spoke about the fans, or not, he didn't attack the fans, he said that they're passionate. I would consider myself to be a very passionate person about the things that I care about. There's many things in entertainment I just don't give a damn about. There's many things that I just don't have the time of day for. Some of the things that I do watch, I want to watch it 5 to 10 times in a month, 5 to 10 times in a year. There's some things I want to watch maybe twice in the same day. It's like, oh, I want to watch it twice and see what I can really consume by it, and maybe start dissecting as to what worked, what didn't, etc. Henry Cavill is the type of person that doesn't seem like an elitist. Keanu Reeves is also another great example. Keanu Reeves is, I would say, a horrendous actor. But he has his niche in his ability to be so focused and train that his work ethic is phenomenal. His work ethic is outstanding. His work ethic is something to admire and model after. Him being a phenomenal actor has nothing to do with his ability to act on stage or act in a group. Him finding John Wick, that movie, him being cast in that role and doing the work behind the scenes is phenomenal. I'm trying to think of the actress that came in on the second movie. If I was to have like a multi-choice, what was her name? Halle Berry. I think it's Halle Berry. Halle Berry in the John Wick 2. Halle Berry, I didn't know this the first time I was watching that, but I felt like I could definitely see every single scene that she was in fighting another person. It felt so cringe. I know that might be contrary to what other people might be saying, but it's like, well, what do I mean by that? Halle Berry, when she was doing hand-to-hand combat with other people, it felt so cringe. But the thing is that I realized while I was watching it is, you know what? I didn't understand this until after I watched it the first time. She is second to John Wick, and John Wick has put so much time and energy in the movie that him being believable and being able to do the moves that he does so flawlessly and effortlessly makes Halle Berry look so B-rated in comparison. And then, the person that I watched it with, not the first time, I think it was the first, I don't know if it was the first time that I watched it. I think I watched it by myself. And then I think I watched it with somebody else. I think I watched it with my dad at one point. And then he told me something about it. Halle Berry actually did all of the commands for the dogs. I didn't know that I didn't know that. So when I watched it again, the John Wick 2, I watched it again. I was like, oh my gosh, this scene is dope. Oh my gosh. And everything that I knew about Halle Berry changed. My opinion of her changed. And if I said the exact same thing, that I think Halle Berry was a B rating, a B or C rating in the movie, the moment that I didn't know that. And now that I do, I was able to voice something that I think I wasn't able to understand of like, well, what other information is there? And it's like, of course. I should have probably done a lot more research before I said something. Absolutely 100%. I made a mistake. Now I'm moving on with here's the truth. Oh my gosh, this thing I didn't realize. My opinion of Halle Berry now is outstanding. I didn't know this about you. That is phenomenal. Halle Berry being able to train with the dogs, and they actually had there was a few more tidbits of information, like no one was allowed to be on stage with a certain, like a green or red outfit or anything of a certain color, because that's actually what the dogs would trigger to go towards, or something like. I think it was green, so they could do green screen when they record, and the dogs were commanded to when they were commanded to attack, they would attack the thing that has green on it. I think that's what the case was. I might be a little wrong on that, but I'm pretty like 99% certain that's correct. With Halle Berry being doing what she did, that's phenomenal. I have no ill will with Halle Berry. She's probably as left-leaning as possible. She doesn't speak out, and good. I'm grateful for that. I have the right to do what I want with my time, my resources, and money, and I don't want to fund people I know who actively are trying to oppose the things that I'm doing. And I think that you also have that right. I think every single person has the right to do what they will with the resources that they have with them. Now, is that being the fundamental basis? What's more important than that? Blah, 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 blah. But I think that's a very fundamental value within freedom that America really is designed to expand, to acknowledge this is a right that you have. You have the right to do it, every single individual. with Henry Cavill being who he was, or with Keanu, going back from Halle Berry to Keanu Reeves back to Henry Cavill, all of them are actors and actresses who are doing really good work. Gina Carano, I cannot say for certain what her acting is. I haven't seen much of the material. I've seen Deadpool 1. I've seen Fast and the Furious. I think she was in the 6th one. I think she's a solid actress. I don't think she's grand. I don't think she's great. But I think she's a pretty solid actress. Every single one of those people that I've seen, Halle Berry, I don't know personally, but what I've seen about her in her personal life, Keanu Reeves, Henry Cavill, Gina Carano, are all people that... and who's the one guy? Man, I'm blanking on the name. I am going to take my time. Matthew McConaughey. I was looking at my... I was trying to get my phone open, but it's Matthew McConaughey. I'm really grateful that I actually remember that. He's been going on the rounds with interviews, talking about personal things about himself. And with the interviews, he actually feels... I can definitely tell that he's a very focused and an in-depth person that actually cares about more substance-related things rather than surface level. Maybe if he's a pretty boy. Yeah, he is a pretty boy, but that when off camera, he's a man who wants to have purpose and meaning, and he doesn't really care about... I wouldn't say anything political or policy-wise. He doesn't care about telling other people what they want. It's just like what he wants to create, what he wants to build, what he wants to do with his life, and how he can help other people doing that. Matthew McConaughey, I could throw into this bundle, this mix of people they're sincere. Gina Carano, through this entire conversation, the interview, had nothing but sincerity in her voice with everything she was saying. I could feel that she was... I would say, I might be wrong with the word, but stressed might be the wrong word. Tense might be the wrong word. Is that she has this level of concern. I think concern might be the better word. Concerned over the events that were happening within her life through this entire ordeal, while she was feeling ganged up on by the very people who were employing her, and she wasn't able to have her own voice. That you have to toe the line, you have to be confronted by these people. Please watch the interview in its full context for what I mean by that. I don't want to give any spoilers away. It's actually a phenomenal interview. I didn't realize... Once it got to the very end, I was like, oh my gosh, it's over? Really? Really, it felt much quicker than that. I was multitasking, but that might have something to do with it too. I'm probably going to listen to it again while I'm going to go and play some video games, but it's really phenomenal. It's a phenomenal listen. And... Gina Carano right now is in a position of so much power, but she's the type of person with some of the stories that there's a story that she shared about not wanting to take a position, a job from another person, from another woman who was an American Gladiator. I think that's near the end. I think it's like 2/3 the way through. Where she doesn't have this level of need to take from other people. She doesn't have that desire from like, oh, this is my job, you go get your own. That her spirit, her heart, she carries with her, and she embodies those very values. Not principles, but values. I value love, and she embodies it. I value diversity, and I embody it through love. I really do think that she is just an embodiment of love, and it's really weird for me to say that because it feels a little toity, it feels a little foo-foo, but it's absolutely accurate. It is so freaking accurate to the kind of character that Gina Carano is, and in the position that she is right now, I think that she's going to create something that might be like a B-. I really hope it's an A+. I always hope that all entertainment is an A+. She might create something that might be kind of mediocre, but I think it'll be passable enough. And hopefully I'm wrong about this. Again, I have a little bit pessimistic mind when it comes to entertainment, but I hope what she produces is really good. My expectation, or I would say an assumption, or if I was to, I'm going to place a bet that I have nothing to bet against or to bet with. I don't like losing money on this. I think what's going to happen is that she's going to produce her movie. It might take 6 to 12 months to even produce it. We might not even see things until later. But one thing that the Daily Wire can really do well is that they update people publicly of, hey, or with Gina Carano, having her on Instagram posting things of like, hey, I just shot my first scene on this movie, and then look at who we have, or like, here's a person that's an actor or actress with us, and taking a photo with them. That would be awesome. That's what you do. That's what you do for fan service. Tom McDonald is a rapper on YouTube. He's all over the place, on all over media, and everywhere. Tom McDonald is a rapper who I think is great. I was trying to choose between phenomenal or great, but it's like he's awesome. The reason I think he's awesome is that he has such a level... what's the word? He doesn't have a need to use vulgarity in his songs. I might agree or disagree with Mel. I think this pitch was a little off. I think in the song called Fake Woke, I thought he was spitting a lot of good facts and truths. I thought some of the things that he said was absolutely like, yeah, that's true. It's weird that what you're saying is revolutionary to people. It's like, yeah, I do believe in this. It's like, I've seen this so many times. Of course this is true, but you're saying it to people who are the quote-unquote normies, who have not exposed themselves so much into the quote-unquote political society that we live in now. So Tom McDonald, he's a very humble person. He's been posting behind-the-scenes events. It's like, hey, every 2 or 3 days he's working on something, he's posting, and he's getting people updates about, hey, this is the next video that we're going to produce, hey, this is what's going on. And the majority of people who are content creators right now, are posting updates about what's happening. I do hope Gina Carano is able to do that. I really do hope, because if she can do that, I really do think that she's going to have this level of fan service that she won't be seeing in the short term, but in the long run, the fans are going to be more supportive of her, because she's actually being more of a person rather than what do I mean by that? Is that when a content creator or somebody who's an entertainer who's able to personalize with other people about the stuff that they're working on, that's fan service for the fans, not just for her audience. And I think that will really do great for her. She could have done this in the past. She's probably done it so many times. But if she does that, I think that's one practice that will help her in the majority of everything to come. Within the Daily Wire, I'd highly recommend to them to have the behind the scenes, not just behind the paywall of their monthly or annual service, but to instead have posts on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, Parler, everywhere that you possibly can, little bits and pieces about what we're doing here and what might be happening. Give us a little tease. You're in the media sphere now, Ben Shapiro, so I hope it goes well. I don't wish them ill. I hope things go swimmingly. I really wish that I have some hope and prayers that Gina Carano finds her footing, is able to get herself off the ground, and maybe 5 to 10 years from now, this is just a guess, I might be like 2%, I might have like 2% facts, 98% hopeful wishing and thinking. It might be that in 5 to 10 years that Gina Carano might create her own media company, other than with the Daily Wire. She might create maybe a movie or two. She might go work with someone else. And then she might realize that if I create my own company, if I create my own media company that people can come and work at as an actor and or actor and actress, they could produce their own movies and content and provide that level of service. She might even pair with the Daily Wire in the long run, 5 to 10 years from now, just because of the fact of she might want to help people who are in the exact same position that she feels that other people who are not at her level feel so disbarred and discouraged because the quote-unquote Twitterati, the monsters from Twitter, the people in the establishment. Coca-Cola recently was exposed for having mandatory white privilege de-escalation training. You being a white person, we need to teach you how to stop being as white as you are. That's horrendous. How many people out there have to have their employment because of income to feed their family, to feed themselves, to help other people? How many people can't speak up because it's a job? If they don't work here, where else can I go? The economy's gotten in a shambles. We're all under lockdown because of the current administration. Guess what? How can we change it? You change it by speaking out. Speak out. Say something. Post something on somebody's YouTube channel. Go to somebody's Facebook page and post a comment. I had an interesting conversation when I went to a LinkedIn account. It was either LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'm going to say No, it was LinkedIn. It was LinkedIn. Okay. Somebody posted something political on LinkedIn saying, I don't remember what it was. I honestly don't. And it was fairly recent, within the last 6-7 months. They posted something political that it's like, burning the American flag is something that, it's like, you need to shut up about this. And everybody in the comment section was sort of in support of it. But I was like the one person that said, what the hell are you talking about? Whatever the actual topic was, I don't remember. But it was something that kind of crazy to me. Like, really? Wait, what? So I spoke out against it. And I got like 10, 11 people giving myself a like on that comment. It doesn't matter about how many likes I got or whatever it is. You speak truth to power. The reason that the people who are in the modern day authority in the education, entertainment, capitalism, politics, everybody at the modern day left is in power because everybody who is afraid to speak up lets them. It's an unfortunate thing. At some point, us not blaming somebody for not speaking up has to end. It has to end at some point. You can't just say, well, I don't blame you for not speaking up about it. But you not speaking up about... Here's a great example. An unfortunate event where someone gets raped. A woman gets raped. She's in her 20s, young 20s. She's afraid to speak up against the person, has evidence, is able to get the perp and put them in jail for the rest of his life. Maybe even hopefully castrate him. She doesn't speak up against him because she is scared. She's rightfully scared, but she's scared. He goes out and rapes 2 more women. When do we say you need to stop being scared? You need to come forth with the evidence because this guy is doing it and we don't know who it is. And if they continue to be scared, he goes out and rapes 2 more women. When do we say enough is enough? You need to be a big girl and step up. You need to stop being a small little child. You need to be a big boy and you need to be a big girl and be an adult here. Where's the line? Where's the line if someone did that? Well, you just need to understand their feelings. And sometimes your feelings get in the way of the truth. Sometimes your feelings justify bad behavior. Where's the line? That's why, again, it is a very difficult it is a difficult moment to say, well, here's the line. If you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. I understand that's very divisive. But my question is when? When do we say where's the line? Where's the line if everybody at Lucasfilm who didn't come out in support of Gina Carano or saying that I'm sorry that Gina Carano, you got fired under these circumstances? Where are the people saying that? Where are the people saying that publicly? I don't see it. There's plenty of people who say, I agree with you, but they don't want to speak out publicly. Where do we draw the line of saying those people who speak out softly and they don't want to give themselves, they don't want to expose their political leanings, them being cowards? Where do we draw the line? When do we do it? When can we start calling people who don't speak up about this, who are in positions of power, who have the availability to speak up? When do we start calling them bad people? You let somebody drown because you didn't want to tell everybody that you were associated with this person. You let somebody get fired because you didn't want to get fired too. Well, if you get fired because of a certain political affiliation, why are you working there? Well, I need the money. Okay. That's the exact same argument of an officer coming to a person and falsely arresting them, and their answer to answer as to why are you arresting me is, I'm just doing my job. Okay, is the arrest warranted? Is it moral? Is it legal? Well, it's just my job to do it. I was told to do this bad activity, so I have to do it. No, 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 no. There is a line to be drawn as to you as an officer are a very horrible human being for not being able to do the right thing. I'm just doing my job. Well, Gina Carano got what's coming to her. I secretly support her, but, publicly I say that, well, she got what's coming to her. When do we start calling you a coward who doesn't deserve the ground you stand on? Where's the line? When do we start calling these people that? If nobody came out in support of Gina Carano. If people start, again, Chris Pratt, he's a very vocal Christian. People are going after him because of his Christianity. I understand some of the policy, or I understand, actually it's the opposite. I understand very little about maybe the policies or whatever his beliefs are specifically with Christianity. I don't care what religion you have. For me personally, I don't want to know what your policies are. I want to be oblivious to what you are as a person. If you as a person are Dwayne Johnson before 2020, when he cried that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were his peak level of unity. He cried during that. Dwayne Johnson saying that's weird, dude. Kamala Harris is one of the worst women in politics right now. She put men behind bars and kept them behind bars for cheap labor. No, there's no supporting of her. She's a horrible human being. But she's a minority, therefore, and a woman. Therefore, I honor and respect her. It's like, you're so fucking stupid. Like, the first time that I cussed in this entire thing, it's just, that's so stupid. Like, no. She's in a position of power. Yes, because Joe Biden publicly stated when he was elected by the Democrats in 2018 to be running in 2020, I think it was 2018, maybe it was 2019, I don't know, he needed to have he had a quota. He didn't want a white person, and it had to be a woman. So, a woman of color. That was his default. That was his criteria. He didn't say I needed a woman who's gonna definitely I needed a person who's gonna definitely keep me accountable for what it is I'm doing, and somebody who's competent that if I am to ever be gone, they can take the helm. Nope. You need to be not white and a woman. So, oh my gosh. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, if you voted for them, I could sort of understand it. But no, I don't. I don't understand it. I hate the Trump man so bad because he said America first. I don't get it. I don't get it. Trump was never, it's not about Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative. It really isn't. I don't understand anybody who actually voted for the guy. It's like, okay, you were wrong. Like, Joe Biden has been in political office has been a politician for a fifth of the entire history of the country. A fifth of it. What the hell has he done? Nothing! He's put black men behind bars! Oh my gosh! But, the orange man is so orange, and, he's a Republican. It's like, no, Republican doesn't mean what Republican used to mean. And I know Republicans are so evil. I would actually agree with that, but there's only like 2 or 3 people that I actually... Matt Gaetz, I was going to say Ron, Ron Jeremy. Different industry entirely. So, Ron Paul. But then Rand Paul, his son, Rand Paul. And I used to like Ted Cruz. Let me rephrase that. I do like Ted Cruz. What he did during the winter, during the snowstorm, and he flew to Cancun. Ooh, that's public relations 101 disaster. You avoid anything in that regard. It's like, oh, there's a bunch of people suffering in my district. I'm gonna go away now. Like, ooh, you don't do that. Oh my gosh. Fuck you, Ted Cruz. Like, ooh, you got a lot of ground to keep up. You got a lot of ground to make up for me to really start caring about you again. Because I was like hanging on to like a thread where a lot of people said Ted Cruz was an establishment character, and it's like, ooh. I'm like, I disagree with that. But then when you do this, it kind of makes you feel like, yeah, you feel like an establishment guy. Like, oh, I'm so sorry that, ooh. Yeah, it kind of was like, well, it's one of the things that you don't put faith in people. You put faith. And one of the reasons why I had to go towards Christianity, and this is the last time I'm going to say something, there's little bits and pieces of ideas about Christianity that I can't justify when it comes to secularistic, atheistic way of looking at the world. You don't put faith in people, you put faith in God. If someone disappoints you, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to put my faith not in you, but within God. That way you can't, even if you disappoint me, it's like, okay, we're human. We're flawed. We have values that may be contrary to what we expect the other to do. It's like within a relationship. You don't put 100% faith in the other person. There are some relationships that can withstand that type of scrutiny. There are some relationships where it's love at first sight and the other person has never done wrong for the rest of their life. But for something to practice for other people on a large scale, 9 out of 10 times, what are you supposed to do? Do you put faith in a person? I can put faith in a person, but to really have faith in that person, I'm to criticize them to make certain that they don't fail. But at times they're going to fail. So don't put your faith in a person, you put your faith in God, someone who isn't human, someone who isn't flawed. Regardless of whether or not you believe that to be true, that's what has actually driven me towards Christianity, because if that simple fact is true, an activity inside of your own head, the activity of the philosophy inside of your own body, and when speaking about this type of things is one of the reasons why it has driven me towards conservatism. Because the modern day left is nuts. It's crazy. It's void of truth, not facts. You might have a fact and then you skew it to the way... There might be 10 facts, just as an example. 10 facts, 9 out of 10 of them are important. They have more weight than the 10th one. There's somebody out there who focuses on the 10th and says, this is true. It's like, yeah, that is a factor, but what about these other factors? No. It's like, okay. Again, I'm not oblivious to this. I'm not immune to it, not oblivious. I'm not immune to being flawed. I'm not immune to being wrong. Gina Carano is not immune to being flawed. Gina Carano is not immune to being an untrusted person at a certain moment in time. I truly feel like she is actually a very caring individual. There can be a point in her entire life that she's not addressing where she said something so stupid that she has regretted it for her entire life. I'm certain there's moments like that, and probably within the last few months, there's posts she's probably... Actually, in this one conversation, she did say that she was having some issues. She was debating of whether or not to take down one of her posts, and I think it was the last one that she posted on Instagram before she was fired by Lucasfilm. But it's like, we all make mistakes. We all have issues. I am probably the furthest one that should be stating to people or telling people you're wrong, because I am so wrong on so many things. But when I communicate them, when I'm able to talk about it, when I'm able to have an idea in my head and I stop bottling it up and penting up that energy, I vent it. And then when I vent it, it's like, oh, I'm wrong. Because when I speak it to another person, it helps me communicate the idea that I have. The idea that I have, I thought was a good one. It's actually a bad one, so I need to change. Or an idea that I had for maybe 10 years. I didn't vocalize it until now, and guess what? I should have done it 10 years ago. Being able to communicate with Gina Carano, her double standard firing. Her being fired is not the issue. It's that it was a double standard of her political leanings. I don't think she's an actual conservative, even though Ben Shapiro has said that. She might be an actual conservative. And hard work is more leaning to conservatism today. Modern day people who don't like work are not usually conservative. I wonder why. I'm just going to leave that question out there. It doesn't mean that you are a conservative or liberal. There's so many political facets, and there's no labels that one may be able to give every single person, like a gendered spectrum, like the spectrum, the gender, like you can identify as however you want, type of thing. The thing is, I just want you to be truthful and honest with what you have to say. When it comes to entertainment, when it comes to me wanting to criticize and critique and then have a conversation with somebody, it doesn't mean that I always do this, but I like the idea of not really focusing on what is objective, and if you disagree with whether or not it's a good or bad thing, then you're just a stupid person. It's an often thing that I do see within the EFAP community, and it's unfortunate because I do like listening to them, but I think they get so stuck up within themselves. I do appreciate them, I do enjoy their work, but sometimes there's a quote-unquote culture of them every single week having a thing that they're criticizing so much, and everybody around them is bashing on something that they're not really trying to find the good into it. It's like, oh, it's all bad. It's like, why are you focusing on things that are just all bad rather than trying to critique things that are maybe mostly good, but some things that they can improve on? I don't know. It's just some questions I'd love to have them answer, specifically Mahler. I'd love to have a conversation with Mahler. That'd be an absolutely fun thing for me. That could probably be a bucket list type of item of having a 24-hour conversation with just me and Mahler, and we're going at it, and we lose both of our voices because we're going. That'd be freaking hilarious. That'd be awesome. I don't know. Anyways, thank you very much for being a part of this. It does mean a lot that you were here to listen to what I have to say. That somehow and in some way I was able to add value to your life, to contribute in some way, to shift and shape you, or maybe you're here just to throw popcorn at the screen. If that'd be an awesome idea. Like, not buttered popcorn, because I don't want you to ruin the screen, because I don't want you to put butter all over the screen, because I have one of those LED or LCD, whatever it's called, type of screens where if you like push it, it's like a plasma type of effect, and it ripples, and if you push a little too hard, then it actually might permanently stain or crease the monitor. I don't want you to do that, but I'm grateful that you were here. So please post your comments, questions, concerns right down below, because I want to hear from you. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button, because that would greatly help this channel out. And most importantly is, thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you. Let me do that last part again, because I've been going through this rhythm of wanting to change it. So let me do this a little bit. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you. Oh, no, I'm going to go through the entire thing, because I want to make certain that I get it. It's probably something I should be editing out, but I'm going to keep this in it. It's like, please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below, because I do want to hear from you, and that is the truth. I do want to hear what you have to say, what ideas, what topics, what comment drove you to subscribe or like or get to the channel. It's like, I do want to hear from you. That is truth. I'm trying, like, how do I form this? Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. Please smash that like, share, and subscribe button, because that would greatly help this channel out, because it actually would. And thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'll see you next time. Beep.